Mayor say where he's going? Who? Not to you?
No.
You're his keeper today, aren't you? Should we start? The special work session of March 27th will come to order. We have one agenda item, the review of the 2016 audit. Bob Diss and Alicia Scarlett are here from the auditors. Are you going to start the presentation out, Michelle, or are they going to do it? They're just going to jump into it. Well, let's do it. Okay. Microphone is on. You don't even have to worry about it.
Watch my language then. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, my name is Bob Diss, and to my right, your left, is the lovely and talented Alicia Scarlett, our audit supervisor. And I'm here to just give an overview of the audit for June 30th, 2016, the city of Laurel. And if you, do you have it in front of you?
Yes.
We do.
Okay, all right, then we're good to go. Page 1, as always, is the audit opinion letter. It runs for, I think, 3 pages this year. It gives the city a clean opinion, it's what you're looking for, also known as an unmodified opinion. Gives reasonable assurance the statements are not materially misstated. The only thing different this year, I believe, is there in the middle of page 2, emphasis of matter. We talk about the Wynn case, which you're probably familiar with. The impact to the city was very minimal, so I think it was about $3,000 in refunds that have to go out. But we mainly put that in there because it could possibly go up in future years. Beginning on page 4 through, I think, 10 or so, make that 12, is management's discussion and analysis. It's not written by us, it's written by town management, Michelle over there, and it tells the reader whatever she'd like the reader to know, like, for example, the financial highlights there that you see on page 4. It also summarizes some of the financial statements and compares them to the prior year, 2015. So I'll jump right into the financial statements. Financial statements begin on page 13. As you may know, there's 2 sets of financial statements because they're on 2 different bases of accounting, or bases of accounting. First one is called the government-wide statements. Those are on pages 13 and 14. 13 being the balance sheet, I'll call it. It takes everything of the city into account, including fixed assets, depreciation, expense, long-term debt, all of that stuff right there. You've got your assets on top and your liabilities down at the bottom. That Wynn case liability that I mentioned is about 2/3 of the way down. It's called due to state. It's $3,260, and that's repayable over like 5 years or so. Also, right below that is the net pension liability. This is, I think, only the 2nd year that's been on there, and that's a little over $11 million for the current year, according to your actuaries. Then on the next page is the income statement, the related income statement. Kind of unusual. You have expenses that start here, and then revenues by program, or by department, I'll say, go across, and then general revenues coming down that way. On that basis of accounting, you took in about $5 million more than you spent. And there's that contingency loss above that of about $3,200. The other set of financial statements is on what we call the modified accrual basis. It only takes in to account current assets and current liabilities, and it also shows things by the different funds that you have there. As you notice, most everything is in the general fund. Then you have other funds there as well. You've got your assets on top and liabilities and equity down at the bottom, and there's a reconciliation to the other balance sheet over to the right, and that's always going to be things like long-term debt and fixed assets. And the related income statement for that is then on page 16, with your revenues at the top, expenditures at the bottom. And on that basis of accounting, you took in about $3.8 million more than you spent. And of course, there's a reconciliation over to the right. There's a fiduciary fund. That's funds that the city does not own. It just has a fiduciary responsibility. It's like a 401k, 403, 457? 457, excuse me. Thank you. And you've got an income statement, balance sheet and income statement right there on pages 17 and I guess 18. Then the notes to the statement begin on page 1. Certainly not going to go through all of these. If you're having trouble sleeping, you can read through these at your leisure. Note 1 is always a summary of significant accounting policies, and that goes on for several pages. It's going to be mostly boilerplate information, so I'm not going to go through that. Just hit a few other highlights. Your investments, for example, are noted back on page 32. You've got a lot of money in things like MLGIP and so forth, about $23 million in investments there. And then there's the agency fund down below that, 457 plan. The next page we talk about, you got taxes and notes receivable and accounts receivable. Let me see. We can hit highlight note 10 on page 36. It shows your capital assets, the beginning of the year, some things by category that you added, and the depreciation that was calculated on those. Long-term debt is note 11. That talks about the notes and the bonds, the bank loans. The note for that win case is note 14 on page 41. And then the note for the retirement plan. Again, this is the second year this has been in there. It's a big, long note, and it talks all about your, I believe it's 2 plans, if I'm not mistaken, employees and police, I believe they are. And this was brand new last year because of GASB 68. And it tells all the actuarial assumptions and things like that that you need to know. That goes on for quite a few pages. And then finally toward the back, we'll just skip to the back. There's in supplemental information, there's some required supplementary information that's required for the pension plans and OPEB, and there should also be, there on page 60 is a schedule of original and final budget, compare that to the actual. And then after that, it goes on more or less line by line, comparing budget to actual. There's also 2 other letters that we also issue along with this. One of them just talks about the standards that we use to perform the audit, government auditing standards, and it also talks about things that we didn't have any disagreements or fistfights with management, nothing like that. And the other one is report over internal control, and we did not come across any weaknesses or deficiencies in internal control. If you have any questions, feel free to speak up.
Let me open it up for questions from the council. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah. Yes?
Government auditing standards, are those state or federal?
It's I'll call it federal. It's not the state, but it's for the entire country. It's put out by the OMB, but also it's almost the same. It's almost the same as the AICPA's generally accepted auditing standards, with just very minor changes.
In light of the state's problems this year with their software, is that something that you would look at, or?
No. If the state has problems with their software, it'd be the state auditor that's going to look at that. No, it wouldn't affect us.
Is that normal, or have you heard of something like that happening before?
They've kind of every so often, yeah, there are problems.
You don't have to tell me on the record. We can talk after.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Crary. Mr. Ricks?
At this point, I don't have any questions. Certainly, I've seen enough of these that I know how Lindsay and the services are, and I know Michelle always works well with them. There are numbers that jump out at me, but they're informative more than anything else. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Nicholas?
I'd like to reserve the right to come back later, just in case I have any questions.
Sure.
And I'll remind you, if you have questions at any time throughout the year, feel free to give us a call.
Mr. Smalls?
I know you gave us a high-level, quick overview of this, but during your presentation, you talked about 2 areas where revenue exceeded expenditures. Can you just give me those page numbers again?
Yeah, going to be back in the financial statements. First one would be page 14. Down more or less the bottom right, it says change in net position. 5,119 and 285.
Got it. Okay.
And that's on the full accrual basis of accounting. 2 pages from that, 16, you'll see excess, about 2/3 of the way down on the left, you'll see excess of revenue and other funding sources over expenditures. And you've got that by fund. And the total column is way over to the right, 3.8 million. The general fund was about 2.6.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smalls.
Mr. President, I presume any questions we could direct to Michelle or?
Yes, Mr. Smalls. I think that's the way we'd handle it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Let let me go to pension plans. What is the current,
Michael, give me the page, please.
well, the retirement plans start on page 42. I'm always interested in what is the plan currently funded as a percentage to meet the needs of the
Yeah,
employees.
that's in here. It's, no, not 100. about 75%. You've got it, we take the planned fiduciary net position as a percentage of the total pension liability, and that's 75%. So there's about 46, was that million, a liability, and there's, the net position is about 35 million. They're on page 47.
Right, so, I mean, people look at those numbers and they get confused. Say the plan's way underfunded, and the plan is not way underfunded.
No, I mean, that's total pension liability,
Right,
which is a brand-new thing that we just started reporting last year.
right, and of course, we're, when you have any kind of a shortage, you're always trying to, you're looking at a moving target somewhere out there.
Yeah, that's
Many
right.
years out.
Many, yeah.
Okay, so when I see those numbers, and I've seen numbers from other municipalities and our friends on the West Coast,
What are their numbers?
I think they're in the toilet on
Laura?
the West Coast.
The state pension plan, for example, is 68%? Is that
Yes,
right?
it is way under 70%.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's created a real problem for them. Because what people don't realize in California, most municipal police departments are part of the state plan. There's a couple that are outside, but very few. So it's really jeopardized potential retirement retirement planning for many of those law enforcement and fire personnel. Yeah, it's in my mind, under 70%. I seem to remember somebody telling me you get under 70%, you better take a good look at the numbers.
That could be correct.
And I don't know where I heard that. I heard that a long time. So, but I just want to ensure that everybody understands that at 75%, we're working toward a moving target to get to 100%, which it probably never will. But that we, in fact, we've got a pension board that is safeguarding the assets of the employees and the contributions of the city. What I don't see here, because the legislation, of course, is pending right now in the state, is the overpayment. If, in fact, they forgive the jurisdictions that were overpaid, that would appear as a note next year. Is that correct? You'd have to reflect that.
It'll be a note one way or the other. There'll be a note.
Let's hope the note looks in the right direction.
Yeah, it should. I mean, what would what should happen is we would restate your beginning equity down,
Right.
and then show that as revenue forgiven. So the net effect would be nothing.
Be nothing, but it would be reflected somewhere if somebody wanted to go 20 years from now and figure out what
It'll be a note one way or the other, but that's probably the way it'll happen.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I heard that it was already forgiven. Do you know anything about that?
Yes.
Did
Okay.
it get passed today?
It was.
Last week. See?
Yeah.
Signed yet, though.
Yeah, I haven't seen that
Let's
myself.
go help.
but yeah.
Let's go help the governor sign it.
I got a pen for it.
Well, I mean, it was my understanding that jurisdictions that were underpaid have already been paid. The underpayment.
Yeah, because we dealt with this all in Montgomery County,
Right.
and we got a lot of clients in Montgomery County as well.
Right, and of course, I don't know who made the mistake. It's water under the bridge. It's long gone.
We do.
Everybody's smiling, but it's water under the bridge. The key is to make sure that jurisdictions were overpaid are held harmless by that mistake. And glad to hear that it got passed last week. I did not know that.
Yeah, and as you know, because you were overpaid, going forward, your income tax may be a little lower because all those people really were never in your city.
I'm sure that we can deal with that. If we understand what the revenue stream is, it's easy to deal with. When you don't understand it, then it's difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have. Mayor?
For those that may be watching at home, can you you move quickly, we have information in front of us. Could you tell us a little bit about the internal controls when you come in?
How we
and you
test
meet
them?
with Michelle? Yeah, I think that's,
Well, we do the audit in two phases. The first one is internal control, and then, which we can do, anytime really. I think we're scheduled to do it early July, is that right? The coming year. So we come out and we take a sample. Well, I guess back up a little bit. First, we get like the general ledger, and we perform some mathematical tests on it. There's certain mathematical things you can do on a series of numbers that will indicate or might indicate there's some fraud there. Well, we didn't see any of that. Let me just say that. We didn't see any of that. So therefore, we can go through and pick at random or not at random just certain transactions, and we trace those back to original documents like invoices, canceled check, bank statements, things of that nature. And so, and we test, quite a few things. The idea being, if every one of those that we pick has been dealt with properly, money coming in, money going out, then therefore we can place greater reliance on the year-end numbers. But if we were to find a lot of problems, which we didn't find probably any, I don't know, then we've got to do more testing at year-end, which happens at some clients, but not here.
right, and so we saw no issues with our internal control
That's
measures.
correct.
Okay, I think that's important for the
Yeah, and
general public.
if we had found issues, then this letter, let me see, one of these letters would be different. This one here, the report on internal control, we would have said something.
Second question on Gatsby, what do we see, or what do you see or hear that may be coming down in the next few years or next year, so we're not taken by surprise?
The only one that I think is going to apply for 2017, I list all the pronouncements coming out on page 55. These are all the ones that are coming out. I think the only one that's really going to affect you is statement number 77, tax abatement disclosures. If you've got any agreements, any tax abatement agreements with an entity, then you have to disclose them.
Nothing that's going to cost us money, though, right?
No. The rest of these, no. Then the following year, there's additional disclosures for the OPEB, other post-employment benefits.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Bob, I want to thank you and Alicia for a wonderful presentation, Alicia.
Thank you.
And I'm going to ask my final question that I always ask. Is the checking account balance, Michelle? Thank you.
30 of them.
Thank you. That is,
Bring mine into you.
people always ask me, how's the city doing? And my comment to them, the long and short of it is, we're in the black. And that's important to the employees, and it's important to the citizens, that they understand that not only do they have a mayor and council that are fiscally responsible, they have a staff that's fiscally responsible. Mm-hmm. I think that shows up when you do your annual auditor's report. Again, thank you very much, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you. We appreciate your business, and we actually enjoy coming here.
Thank you.
We do. Thank you.
Work session will closed, and we'll come to the meeting in about 20 minutes.